Welcome back to the Restaurant Growth Show podcast. Today's guest is no Steve. You already messed me up. All right. It's all your fault. Today's guest is no stranger to the show with over 30 years of experience in hospitality, working with top brands. Jason E. Brooks. He's here to discuss key number 7 from his book, Every Leader Needs Followers. Let me get the book because, of course, I have a copy. And the title the chapter title is Never period Stop period Training period. Jason's going to walk us through effective strategies for implementing ongoing training programs, balancing daily operations, and measuring training effectiveness. He's going to help us uncover how perpetual learning can drive success in your restaurant. Jason, welcome back to the show, man. What's going on today?
Sure. Thank you so much. I love my monthly sabbaticals to the Restaurant Growth Show. I look forward to it every single time. Here soon, you're going to have to start charging me rent, man, because I'm on your couch so much, eating up your popcorn that you may have to start charging me.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately speaking, I think that you're not really a guest. You're one of the family. I mean, over a year ago, we upgraded Jose from guest to co-host. I mean, your co-host title is coming in soon. You're going to be a fixture here almost every day.
Whoa. It took me a long time to hang tight there.
But they say that the more the future comes, the faster things happen. So, that's like my oldest daughter saying, how come he gets his cell phone whenever he's, 9? I had to wait till I was 22. She wasn't that old, but still, you get the point, though.
Fair enough.
It's the age of AI. Everything's accelerated, right? So, Jose, I mean, it's different times.
No, I'm on with the times. I until I will not. But so far, I think I'm hanging. I'm hanging. There's some signs here and there, certain things that, where you stumble and but then you get up and keep going.
You know what? I don't even know if there's room on this show for 2 co-hosts. Maybe you two should battle it out. Maybe you should battle it out for first chair co-host on the Restaurant Growth Show.
What's that new thing? What's it called? A slap fest, some power slap, something like that. Jose and I go on gotta stand there and just
look
take
at
it.
This. Look at these stickies and look at yours.
That's right.
I don't think we're gonna
these little things, these old things. What are you talking about?
You know what? I think there'd be a lot of people that would pay to see, a virtual slap fest between the co-hosts on the Restaurant Growth Show. I don't know.
Leave in the comments.
Leave it in the comments. Let us know
man.
if you want to see a slap fest or better yet, who you want to see as the first chair co-host on the show. Let's get a rivalry going. But hey, no, let's bring it back to why we're here. Jason, before we jump in, can you give us an overview again of key number 7 from your book and why operators should never stop training?
Hate to give any spoiler alert, but there's 2 camps in never stop training. Okay, 2 camps. First camp is the people that say, I don't have a budget, so I don't train. The other camp is people that create a training environment no matter what, because they know it's harder to get a team from that's not training to start training than to just keep training going. It actually costs less for you to keep training going than to stop, and then start, and then stop later on. It actually costs you more in money and in headaches. So that's what it really boils down to. Which camp are you in? And then how can I persuade you through my book, Every Leader Needs Followers, how to join the camp of create a always on training environment.
That I think that's definitely is something that I'm looking forward to, that I saw in the book, and that others should take a look at. But here's the thing: why is it continuous training critical in the restaurant industry, and how have you seen it impact staff performance over time?
Although it seems like we do the same thing every single day, our industry is always changing, always evolving. Menu items change, whether it's a LTO for a quarter or a feature of the day or a feature of the weekend. Customer service execution also changes because you have diehard regulars who visit multiple times per week. Then you have new guests from out of country who need help with the menu period. You have health and safety changes that deal with foodborne illnesses, with COVID-19, things that you have to change in how you do. There are several changes that keeps us on our toes. It is extremely critical that we have to have a continuous training environment, because the more we can keep ongoing training environments alive, the easier it is for our teams to adapt and to change with the changes that we face daily. It may seem like we are always doing the same thing, but when you really think about your operations in a restaurant, it is a ever changing machine, and there's so many variances as to what goes on. If we only train them one way to do a certain thing, you're going to have, as a manager, as a restaurant owner, you're going to have so many people walking back up to you, asking you questions multiple times per day, because the way that it was supposed to happen, it didn't happen. So now what should I do? But that ongoing training, always teaching people that new thing, that new way, that new version, helps for that not to happen.
It makes me think of Kaizen, the continuous improvement philosophy of Toyota. And it just makes sense. I'm not from direct experience, but my assessment is that regulation changes all the time. And this goes shoppers. There's, there's all these different things. You got to be ready, right?
Yeah, you are right. I mean, and even whenever we think about restaurant goals, restaurant business goals don't stay the same. If they do, your business dies. And as those goals shift, as they change, shouldn't your training also change? Not even with just the training. We would all love it if we had every person on our team has worked for us for the last 30 years. They're all waiting to get that Rolex whenever they retire. And so everyone that's been here has been here since day one. But we know this is not that kind of business. If you have a business, a restaurant that's near a college, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The amount of people turning and churning. If you do a always stop and then start training, it makes it so hard. You have to have this ongoing, always cross training, multiple people knowing what to do within multiple roles, because it also makes sense for your profitability. Yes, everyone can't do everything the same, but everyone can be helping someone do something better in order to get that end result. And that's where that never stop training, because you're always churning. You have people that are coming through, and also the changes in systems. That's where it truly makes sense.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem, Jason. We all want our operation to run really, really smoothly, no matter what kind of business you're in. Forget about it, right? And we would love it if someone could come in pre-trained and they could just slide right into the team and they're up and running, they're doing their thing. But when you bring on someone new, that often affects operations, causes delays, there's more mistakes and that type of stuff. How can restaurants get around that? How can they implement ongoing training programs without disrupting the daily operation of their restaurant?
Well, let's be honest. It has to come from the top down, no matter what we put on paper, especially if you're a more than one unit owner. or more than one unit manager. This has to come from the top down. And what I mean by that is, how many times is one of the first three things that we're saying when we walk into a restaurant that it deals with training. Typically, let's be honest here, the first three things that we're saying after pleasantries is sales, labor, food cost. And I think we give that communication enough times throughout the day already. So what people are really doing is thinking about sales, labor, and food costs, meaning cut, cut, and cut. They're doing their best to cut the most, which one of the first things that they do is cut training. Now, how to implement it, if you really, really want to create a never stop training environment, the first question after pleasantries that you have to ask has to be, are you certified on XYZ? Whether they're on the floor as a server, a busser, a hostess, a bartender. First question is, hey, I'm Jason Brooks. Nice to meet you. I haven't seen you here. Quick question. Are you certified? Okay. Who certified you? Now, how is your training going? If those are the first three questions that you're asking, are you certified on doing your role? Who certified you? Because it's not going to be Apple that certifies you, nor Android, nor XYZ POS system. It's a person. And then how is your training going? If we can always lead in with that, it does a few things within that environment. It makes the team member understand training is important. Being certified at what we do to do it right is important. It makes the management team understand that is important because they've gotten all your text messages, all your emails, all your snail mail, all your mail coming from a crow like it's Game of Thrones. They've gotten all the messages stating food, labor, sales. But you got to make sure that everyone understands the training environment. That way, they will always put that first and build that into their system of how they're doing what they're doing now. Does it really fix the disruption of daily operations? No, but it embeds it into your daily operations, which is what's important because anything is going to disrupt it. We have fires all day long. That's going to happen. But how do you embed training into your daily operations to where it is important?
But how?
Yeah, that's true. I was just going to mention that I kind of wish occasionally I would get an email by like carrier pigeon, just like occasion.
Get a crow just flying in, got to unwrap his foot.
Game of
and then wash
Thrones
your
Ravens messaging. It's theme, right? Let's do it. Sorry, go ahead, Jose.
No, it's just like, okay, so like if I put myself in the shoes of a manager, okay, I have like so many things to be reporting on and so many concerns, right? That this is like, oh my God, everybody has a boss at the end of the day. And this is one that I can manage. The fires I cannot manage. This one I can manage. So how? What would you tell a manager?
The how behind it. First, I hate to make it sound so simple, okay? Use a training plan. I hate to make it sound that simple, but use a training plan. And the reason why I don't believe in what you just said in that scenario is because let's think about this. Every Monday morning, you have inventory due. You have to close out payroll. You have to check your deposits. You have to reset systems for the new week. All of those things have nothing to do with sales, labor, or food costs. To be honest, nothing really moves that needle. One may give you the gauge on it, but it doesn't really move it. So when a manager says, I can't focus on training because that's not what's important. Well, does inventory really build sales? Does payroll, closing it out, really build sales? Checking your deposits does no, but you put it on your schedule and you plan for it every single week. And because you do that, you make sure it gets done. So we can argue that doing inventory doesn't build sales, closing payroll doesn't seat tables faster. Checking deposits doesn't drop ticket times. Yet still, we will use the excuse that we are too busy with daily operations to focus on training. Half the time, when we run into operational complexities, it's because of poor training. A good friend of mine, John Loki, he once told me we can train our way in or out of anything. And he's spot on. The question is, though, how do we make it stick? How do we stick to the plan of training no matter what the other complexities and fires make their way into our day? And we know it's going to happen. So we can be more efficient and successful tomorrow because we stuck with the training plan.
I guess it's just a matter of making the time, like we say, but sometimes it's so hard because we're so conditioned. So yeah, I guess go for a walk, decide what it is that you're gonna put behind, and then catch up later. Make sure that the training is in.
Jason,
I mean, that's it. Yep.
Switching gears a little bit here, Jason, look, turnover is such a massive cost. It just puts such a drain on every business. What role does training play in reducing turnover and increasing staff retention? Talk about satisfaction and all of these types of things. Like how can that play a role?
That's also an easy answer. That has everything to do with all of the above.
It sounds so
Many
simple.
times,
It sounds so simple.
I mean, yeah, like I posted this week on LinkedIn, training is simple. Training the right way is hard. That's absolutely true because we can quote unquote train anyone to do something. Training is only showing someone how to do something and then asking them to do the same thing. Training the right way is hard. That is actually going through the SOP, standard operating procedures, line for line, word for word, giving them the whole map of the whole layout of your business, how it's connected, how they can do it, then the watch outs, and then have them watch you do it, and then ask them questions while they're watching you do it, and then you have them do it, and then you're clarifying questions while they're doing it, and then you quiz them at the end in order to make sure that they understand. So, yes, I get it. Training is easy. Training the right way is hard because time, which tends to be our biggest enemy, is the factor that pushes people to either train or train right. Now, back to your question, though. Back to your question. Many times we have turnover because we do an awesome job of selling candidates the moon, how good our company is, standing by our values, and how we want the best people. Then we stick them with Kevin. Kevin just yells at them all day long, shows them all the wrong shortcuts. And then the next day, when that new hire trains with Becca, Becca's like, what the hell are you doing? Giving your new hire fresh verbal scars because Kevin trained that new hire wrong. And that has everything to do with retention and turnover. Training has everything to do with retention and turnover. Think about how the average hire usually feels when they get hired. Like, yes, I made it to Joe's Pub. This is amazing. I love my life. They are driving their parents and their family crazy for like a week. Yeah, Joe's Pub next Thursday. It's about to happen. Woo, woo, woo. Then they're like, get out the house. Go to work. Tired of hearing about you getting this job at Joe's Pub. And then they get there, they fill out paperwork for like 2.5 hours, watch a video for another 2.5 hours, and then they throw them on a position by themselves. They crash and burn. And when they come home, they're like, oh, so how was work today? Fine. And then go to their room and take a shower. That's what causes that turnover. That's what reduces that retention. That is why it is very important that the way we train, even the way we onboard, and this is also one of my keys that are in the book, even the way we onboard has to be different in order to keep that excitement going more than just the day that they walked your foot in. And now it's like, ha, we got you. We tricked you. We are really not everything we said we were. Welcome to the real restaurant life. We love to say that, but yet still, whenever we get turnover, like, oh man, they just suck. No, is it them, or can we do something differently?
You know, you're giving me flashes of what it must be like to work in a kitchen with, say, like a Gordon Ramsay. We've all seen the kitchen nightmares and how he's screaming at his staff and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, you know, there's definitely an element of that in real life that he was like that. I've definitely read stories about that, but that is still pretty prevalent in the average restaurant where that type of culture is sort of accepted. I mean, that's a whole other podcast, believe me. We can go down that path, but you know, those fresh verbal scars, as you put it, of course that's going to deter someone who's new, who's learning. You know, some people thrive under that type of pressure, but a lot of people don't. And I think that that really needs to be, you know, identified.
Yeah, yeah, it's a big challenge, and the more we can understand how and before we move on, just one more thing.
Mm.
When we think about how we got here, and it's been like that longer than the last 4 years, but a lot of times why this happens, why we don't put the extra effort into the right training is because the effort takes energy. In the past 4 years, especially since the big C happened, that a lot of people are skeptical on trust. They don't trust that someone's going to stay long enough. They're putting all this energy in just to see them turn 2 to 3 weeks later. So now they're waiting 2 to 3 weeks to truly invest in that new hire. Not everyone does that, but that's what's also causing your own cyclical behavior to continue, is that you're making them turn over because of the fear of turnover. That investment has to be put up front, even if it's, Lord, help me, even if it's not for them, you're doing it for you. You're doing it to give yourself practice of teaching people the right way, even if they leave or not. Last piece, whenever we put that effort in the beginning, we're also training them as customers to understand how much work it is to work at this business. They're leaving a way like, man, I never realized how much they do at Joe's Pub. I didn't know that they do this and this, and they cut these fresh and they do this. And I have a new respect for them, even though I'm not going to make it. I'm actually going to come here more often because of how much they put into training and how much they do. So you're actually building your guest counts by training better, because the people that come in to work for you don't live 15 minutes from your business. It's the same people that come in to eat or are choosing to eat there or not.
You know what you're
Wow.
building? You know what you're building? It's community. Forget about it. That's
It.
what it is. It's community. This idea that I'm not going to trust you for a few weeks to make sure that, you know, are you really going to stick around? It's a lose-lose. It's a lose-lose situation. That's not how
Yeah.
you build a business. It's not how you build community. And you know, you mentioned that on your last show. It's like you may be training someone that may not stick around, but if you make a great impression on them, they're going to bring their family in. They're going to be your new regular. Like, come on.
Yep.
Like, let's build community, let's build businesses, let's build something that we can all stand on for a long period of time. Jose?
Jason, one of my favorite things of having you in your show is one, the consistency, and how you've been taking me through images and memories of things that we've said before, and they're so powerful. But my favorite visual that I was excited about as I gonna go as you were speaking is that this continuous training, I would see it like this stream of culture, of efficiencies, of things, of how to do them, and like a river, it just doesn't stop. So when someone new comes in, instead of having this, like you said, static by themselves training, they jump into this river and they're just carried away by it, and it's just a nonstop thing. So then it's always training. There's always something exciting, something new to learn, something that on retention itself. But then we go back to the caring and the community, like Gord was saying. And my curiosity is around, like, how, sorry if this is a little bit off of or different, but how is it that you can measure, like, do you measure in this case the impact in the whole community? Do you include that like as something new? Do you measure the effectiveness of the training program as just the results of the restaurant? And I ask you because I think you are a trainer of trainers, and so please tell me, how do we know? How do we measure this?
Can I just jump in here for one sec? Jose's got bars today. Jose has bars today.
He's dropping like it's hot, yo.
The never stop training is like a river. You are the trainer of trainers.
That visual was spot on, yo.
That was
good.
Chef's
I can't
kiss, Jose.
Chef's kiss.
Goodness.
Salt dropping off the forearm into the plate,
Bay.
yo.
Salt Bay. Salt Bay bars from Jose today.
Oh la la.
Oh my goodness.
La, la. Fresh oysters.
I can't wait to cut that up in the editing room. That was a thing of beauty, you know. What, Jason? He's got a head start on. He's got a head start on you.
I know he just power slapped the hell out of me right there. I mean, my face is red on this side. Yo, hold up, Jose.
Never stop training is a river. It's a river. It's gorgeous.
Jump in.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Jump in.
The water is fine.
It's okay. We'll catch you.
Okay, so your question is on how do we know when it's working? How do we know that the training is working? And not just the training with the people, but the training with the community. There are some factors that do tend to help point this out. But of course, we have to put work into it. And the easiest thing is to measure turnover. What's crazy is the amount of restaurants that don't measure it. And it's not that they don't measure it because they don't know how. Because you can Google that bad boy. You can Google the math of how to do turnover and put it in the simplest Excel spreadsheet. The thing is, though, most people don't want to know. That's dangerous. We want to know what our sales are. We want to know what the P&L says at the end of the month. We want to know the guest feedback. Sometimes some of y'all don't want to open up Google in order to see what that says. But the thing is, there are people choosing not to measure turnover. That's dangerous. Okay, so the lower the turnover while maintaining staffing pars, the more successful that you know that your training program is. And I have to add in the part maintaining staffing pars, because we do have operators that choose not to hire because they don't want to train. They would rather run thin and run the business down to where it's manageable versus build the sales up. I have a saying that I always like to tell any trainer, like you said, trainer of trainers. If you take any restaurant manager, take them out into the woods with a sledgehammer, you show them a brick wall, I guarantee any manager by some point can knock down that brick wall with that hammer. If you take the same manager out into the woods with water, a level, some mortar, and some bricks, and say, build me a wall, there's only so many managers that will know how to do that. The point is, anyone can knock down a business to where it's manageable. It takes a great manager to know how to build the business the right way. And that's why turnover, managing it, and understanding what those numbers are is very important, because you have to keep the right staffing pars to build the business the right way. Now, once you have your training program, you should be using it every single day, all day, One of the key things that are missing to make it effective as a training program is linking it to your company goals. How many times do we, and I may have said this before, made a company goal and we change it every single year, but the training program has been the same for the last 6 years. We've implemented a new guest feedback survey. We have implemented third-party sales. We've implemented all kind of different things, but yet still the training program has been the same for the last 6 years. So whenever we now begin to have that training program, we've built that environment of always training, we have to link it to our business goals each year and look at it each year to make sure each position knows and is being trained on what that goal is.
Nice.
This show
Nice.
this show is turning into the metaphor show. I mean, was that an old Chinese proverb where you take a manager out into the woods to build the wall or to knock down the wall?
I actually had to get the water from the river that Jose built. So I figured we might as well link that up right there.
Oh my
Nice.
God. Oh, well played, sir. Very well. Look, we're running a little bit short on time here, Jason. I got one more question for you.
Okay.
What are some of the and this is just not any way to move on from this conversation, but are there some common training mistakes? Like, let's not even talk about common training mistakes. Let's talk about mistakes that managers are making. What are they and how can they be avoided?
Well, let's take it back to the beginning. First, create a culture of training that's 24/7. That's the number one mistake to be avoided. Don't have it as a stop, start, stop training. Training must always be happening. And what I mean by that, of course, is that you're always following a training plan, having them being trained by someone that's certified in that position, and that you're tracking it. Second mistake, if you're a multi-unit owner or operator, say hello, find out how they're doing, and then find out how their training is going. If it doesn't come from the top every single time that you're in the building, it's going to fall to the wayside because I guarantee they already know what the sales are, what the labor is, and so forth. But where is each individual with their training plan and cross-training in that restaurant? Third mistake, schedule training and complete it. Yes, it is one of those things that we don't get an instant ROI from that day, but I guarantee you, you will get the ROI the next day. Then if you want to make it important, track it. Turnover and staffing pars both. Build turnover into your bonus program if you have one. Let it be a lever of a 10% multiplier, meaning if your bonus is a $250 bonus, if your turnover is too high, maybe they lose 10%. If their turnover is spot on, maybe they get a 10% bonus on top of that bonus. But find some way to put it in the pocket, because when we put it as a goal in the pocket, people begin then to track it and make sure that it is important. And then last but not least, link your training to your business goals. Whatever your 3 business goals are, 4, 5, it doesn't matter. Every position within your restaurant has to know what those business goals are and what is it that that position does to help reach that goal for the day, for the week, for the month, and the 3 things that they can do during their shift to help make that happen, the lead indicators to help make that happen, because we don't mistakenly trip into success. We have to be intentional with everyone doing their part and getting trained on their part to help reach that success.
My goodness, it's just the gems that are coming out on this show are just incredible. And I'm going to end this episode with a bar of my own, or a bar I have borrowed. Never stop, never stopping. Andy Samberg. Never stop training. Never stop training. That's all the time we have for this episode today. Jason, now's the time to plug away. Where can people connect with you? What's your platform of choice?
LinkedIn, hit me up. let's talk business, let's talk shop, let's make the world a better place. And jasonebrooks.com. Find out everything that I'm doing or that I'm not doing, and let me know how I can do that better. Last piece, once a month, right here at the Restaurant Growth Show, you can come hang with us.
100%. This guy, okay, well, Jose, I think it's now you're all even. You guys are even now because now he's promoting the show as he should as a good co-host. You need to do better. You need to listen. Speaking of plugs, this podcast is sponsored by Dine Pricing, real-time restaurant profitability. Dine Pricing uses artificial intelligence to improve restaurant profitability by dynamically updating menus across digital channels like Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub. That's all the time we have for this episode. Thanks again to Jason for joining us once again on his monthly appearance. Until next week, say goodbye, Jose.
Jump in the river. Come with us in the flow. Bye, Jose.
Phenomenal.